Welcome to American English Vocabulary Podcast, the podcast that helps you build the words you need to speak, write, and succeed in English. Words are the building blocks of communication. When you know the right word, you feel confident. You understand more. You express yourself clearly. And that confidence opens doors to better jobs, stronger friendships, and a fuller life in an English-speaking world. In each episode, we'll look at new vocabulary in context. You'll hear how words are used in real sentences. You'll learn their meanings, their pronunciation, and the situations where you'll need them most. We'll explore idioms, phrasal verbs, formal and informal language, all the vocabulary that makes American English come alive. So whether you're listening on your commute, during your lunch break, or at home after a long day, this podcast is here for you. All you need is your ears, your curiosity, and a desire to grow. Chapter 9. Vocabulary for Reading Comprehension. Reading comprehension and vocabulary are deeply linked. Research shows that readers who know 95% or more of the words in a text understand it well, while those who know fewer than 90% struggle significantly. This chapter explores how to build the vocabulary needed for confident, independent reading. Key vocabulary terms. Unfamiliar word. A word a reader has not previously encountered or does not recognize well enough to define or use. Example. When faced with an unfamiliar word in an exam passage, skilled readers use context and structural analysis before guessing randomly. Vocabulary threshold. The minimum percentage of words a reader must know in a text to understand it adequately without assistance. Example. Reading researchers generally estimate a vocabulary threshold of 95 to 98% word coverage for comfortable, independent reading comprehension. Extensive reading. A reading approach in which learners read large amounts of text at an accessible level for pleasure in general language exposure. Example. Extensive reading programs, in which students read books slightly below their maximum level, have produced remarkable vocabulary gains in research studies. Dense text. Written material that contains a high proportion of technical, abstract, or complex vocabulary, making it more challenging to read. Example. First-year law students often struggle with the dense text of legal casebooks until they build sufficient legal vocabulary. Gloss. A brief explanation or translation of a difficult word, typically provided in the margin or footnote of a text. Example. The edited edition of the Shakespeare play included a gloss at the bottom of each page explaining archaic vocabulary in modern English. Reading article. Reading is the single most powerful source of vocabulary input available to language learners. Every book, article, or essay contains hundreds of words, and encountering words in authentic text context creates stronger memory traces than studying isolated word lists. The challenge is choosing texts at the right level, challenging enough to introduce new vocabulary but accessible enough that comprehension is not overwhelmed. Reading researchers have identified what they call the just right reading zone. This is material where you understand roughly 95% of the words. In this zone, the unfamiliar 5% is manageable. Context clues can carry you through most unknown words, and occasional lookups do not disrupt comprehension. Below 90% familiarity, reading becomes laborious and comprehension breaks down. The prescription for readers who want to improve vocabulary through reading is twofold: read extensively at comfortable levels to consolidate known vocabulary and absorb new words through repetition, and read intensively at challenging levels with a dictionary and notebook nearby to deliberately study new words. American newspapers, especially quality outlets, are excellent vocabulary building texts. They are written at roughly a 10th to 12th grade reading level, challenging enough to introduce new vocabulary but not as dense as academic journals. Reading one full newspaper article per day and studying 3 to 5 new words from it is a practice that can yield substantial vocabulary growth over months. Fiction reading offers its own vocabulary rewards. Novels expose readers to vivid descriptive language, emotional vocabulary, dialogue in authentic social contexts, and figurative language, metaphors, similes, and idioms that academic texts rarely provide. A diet of both fiction and nonfiction gives the most complete vocabulary exposure. Dialogue in context. Student. I find reading in English really exhausting. Every page has words I don't know and I keep stopping to look them up. Librarian. It sounds like the texts you are reading may be a bit above your current comfortable reading level. What are you reading? Student. The New York Times and academic articles for my class. Librarian. Those are great goals, but it might help to also include some lighter reading alongside them. What topics interest you? Student. I like mysteries and thrillers. And I enjoy travel writing. Librarian. Perfect. Reading popular fiction in English that you enjoy builds your reading fluency and vocabulary at a comfortable pace. You might find that after a few months of regular fiction reading, those newspaper articles feel less overwhelming. Student, should I still look up every word I don't know in the fiction books? Librarian. In fiction, I'd say look up words that recur several times or that block your understanding of the plot. Let other unknowns pass, focus on the story, and let your brain absorb them naturally over time. Learning tips. 1. Choose reading material that challenges you without overwhelming you. Aim for texts where you understand about 95% of the vocabulary. 2. Keep a reading vocabulary log separate from your general word bank, noting where and how you encountered each new word in context. 3. Vary your reading diet. Novels, newspapers, magazine features, and academic articles each provide different vocabulary repertoires. 4. When reading for vocabulary, do not look up every unfamiliar word immediately. First, try to use context clues, then look up words that persist in confusing you. 5. Reread difficult texts once after studying the vocabulary. The second read should feel noticeably smoother, which is a powerful motivational experience. This is American English Vocabulary Podcast. Learn a word, change your world. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend who is also learning English. And if you have words or topics you'd like us to cover, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep listening, keep practicing, and keep growing. This is American English Vocabulary Podcast, one word at a time.